The Arctic dawn came late, painting the horizon in shades of pale blue and grey. The air was so still that Ava could hear her own heartbeat through the fabric of her balaclava. It was the third day of the siege, and her hands had long stopped feeling the cold. The base radio crackled quietly beside her in the snow, muffled under her glove. Eagle 1, confirm position. She pressed the MIC, Eagle 1 in Overwatch. Visual on the compound. From her vantage point high on the frozen ridge, Ava had the perfect line of sight on the small lumber facility below. Inside that weather-beaten structure, 8 hostages were being held by a group of insurgents who had hijacked a UN transport convoy 3 days earlier. The situation had grown tense. Negotiations had failed. The insurgents were demanding safe passage across the border, an impossible request. Time was running out. And for the team watching through the lens of a sniper scope, every second mattered. Ava wasn't supposed to be there. Just 2 weeks earlier, she'd been pulled from active rotation after an injury, a fractured rib sustained during a rescue operation in the Baltic region. But when word came down that the hostages included 2 American medics and a journalist, she volunteered before anyone could stop her. Captain Rains, her commanding officer, had protested. "You're still recovering, Morgan. You're not at full capacity." She'd only replied, "Sir, you don't need full capacity to pull a trigger. You just need focus." He'd looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. "Make it count." That morning, the snow had fallen heavily overnight, blanketing everything in white silence. Ava lay prone, her rifle, a customized M2010 enhanced sniper rifle, nestled into a carved depression in the snow. The cold metal bit at her cheek through the scope. Her spotter, Corporal Jensen, adjusted his rangefinder beside her. Distance, 642 meters. Wind negligible. Targets, he paused. They are moving hostages again. Ava's breath fogged faintly in the frigid air. Through the scope, she could see 3 men armed with AKs herding the captives deeper into the sawmill. She noted every step, every gesture, memorizing the rhythm of their patrol. "Command says stand by," Jensen whispered. Ava didn't respond. She was already counting angles, distances, shadows, and timing. 3 hostiles outside, at least 5 inside. That was 8 total. 8 chances to fail. Hours passed. The waiting was the worst part. The stillness, the pressure, the endless cold seeping into her bones. But Ava had been trained for this. She'd spent years mastering patience, the art of waiting for the perfect second when chaos and calm collide. When the order finally came, it was a single word over the radio. Execute. Through her scope, Ava saw the first target clearly, a tall man in a black coat, cigarette glowing faintly in the dawn. He was pacing near the entrance, rifle slung over his shoulder. The wind shifted slightly, carrying the faint smell of fuel from the trucks below. Ava exhaled, slow and steady. Her finger tightened on the trigger. Crack. The man dropped instantly, snow blooming red beneath him. Jensen muttered, "Hit confirmed." Ava was already shifting position, recalculating her angle. The second man emerged, shouting, raising his weapon. Crack. He fell backward, the echo of the shot rolling down the valley like distant thunder. 2 down, Jensen said. They are panicking. Through the scope, Ava saw the third man grab one of the hostages, dragging them toward the window as cover. Her breath caught. The hostage was a child, no older than 14. For a moment, everything inside her froze. The child's terrified eyes met hers through the glass. She could see the fear, the trembling, the confusion. The gunman's hand gripped the boy's shoulder, his weapon pressed against the side of his head. Jensen's voice broke the silence. "Ava, you can't take that shot." But Ava didn't answer. She'd seen something, the glint of metal near the man's wrist. The safety latch was broken, the trigger pull light. One wrong move, and the hostage would never make it out. She steadied her breath. Time slowed. She could almost hear her father's voice, the same one that had taught her to shoot on a quiet Minnesota range years ago. You don't pull the trigger, Ava. You let the bullet go where it already belongs. She adjusted her aim by half a degree. The world went silent. Crack. Glass shattered. The man fell. The boy collapsed to the floor, untouched. Jensen's voice trembled. 3 shots. 3 kills. Ava lowered her rifle. Move in, she said quietly. They're clear. Within minutes, the strike team breached the compound. What they found inside was worse than expected: crude explosives wired around the room, set to detonate on remote signal. But the gunman outside had held the trigger devices. Because of Ava's shots, the charges never went off. 8 hostages. All alive. The rescue was over before sunrise. But that wasn't the end of the story. During the debrief, as medics tended to frostbite on her hands, Ava noticed something strange in the recovered intel files. The ringleader of the insurgents, a man known only by the call sign, Varric, had not been among the dead. The body they found outside with the cigarette? A decoy. Varric had escaped into the storm, and with him, the encrypted device controlling the rest of his network. Command ordered a secondary search, but the weather turned brutal. Visibility dropped to near zero. The mission was suspended. Still, Ava couldn't let it go. That night, as the base bunkers groaned under the wind, she studied the terrain maps alone. Varric couldn't have gone far, not in that cold, not without transport. She made a decision she didn't tell anyone about. At 0200 hours, she left camp on snowshoes, her rifle strapped to her back. The snow was knee-deep, the air so cold it burned to breathe. Following faint tracks barely visible under moonlight, she moved through the valley, guided only by instinct and experience. After 2 hours, she saw it, a faint glow in the distance. A cave, half-collapsed, smoke curling faintly from its mouth. Ava crouched, steadying her breathing. Inside, she could hear movement. Voices. She counted 2, one injured, one speaking softly in a foreign tongue. She crept closer, silent as the snow itself. Through the scope, she saw him, Varric, wounded, arm bandaged, still clutching a satellite phone. She had only 1 round left. For a long moment, she hesitated. Ending him here would mean breaking direct orders. But if she let him live, more lives would be lost. She whispered under her breath, 3 shots. 8 lives. Make it count. She pulled the trigger. The shot echoed across the valley, swallowed by the wind. When she returned to base at dawn, frostbite had set into her fingers. She collapsed just inside the perimeter fence, rifle still slung across her shoulder. When they found her, she was half-conscious, lips blue, whispering coordinates. The recovery team followed them, and found the cave, the sat phone, and Varric's encrypted files. Those files led to the dismantling of a smuggling network spanning 3 borders, saving dozens more lives. Ava never bragged about it. She never mentioned the 4th shot, the one no one knew about. Officially, the record showed 3 shots, 8 lives. But those who served with her that winter knew better. They called her the Ghost because she moved unseen, silent, untouchable. But the truth was, Ava Morgan wasn't a ghost at all. She was flesh, blood, and conviction, a reminder that courage doesn't shout. It whispers through the cold. Months later, when she returned home to Minnesota, her hand still bore the faint scars of frostbite. She spent her mornings by the frozen lake, teaching neighborhood kids how to hold a rifle safely, how to breathe steady, how to trust focus over fear. One of them once asked, "Did you ever miss?" Ava smiled faintly, looking toward the horizon. "Only once," she said. "And I've been making up for it ever since." Years later, in a small ceremony attended only by her team, Ava was awarded the Silver Star. No media, no cameras, just a folded flag, a medal, and the quiet respect of those who knew the story. During the ceremony, Captain Rains said, 3 bullets saved 8 lives that day. But what the world will never see is the courage it took to fire them. Ava only